I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, March the 12th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Not all tubs are created equal. Stretch your profits with every lick. Stay tuned here in 2024 for exciting information about Vitalix. We're going to be giving away free tubs. And get the blue tub. Your cows will love you. For more information, go to Vitalix.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, going to have 5,500 to 6,000 head for the cattle sales here this week. Bulk of them will be on the Tuesday feeder cattle sale. They're going to have some 500 to 800 head of calves there. Most all be weaned there, and some really nice calves. I have over 3,000 head of yearlings. About 2,000 yearling steers. Most of them will be offered in load lots. A lot of big steers weighing in the 9s at least, and maybe over 1,000. About 1,000 head of yearling feeder heifers. They'll mostly be in load lots also, and then several mixed yearlings and grazing yearlings in the mix there. And then for the cow sale on Wednesday, just a regular run of slaughter cows, but they are going to have several small consignments of bred cows and pairs. So if you guys are interested in any of that, check out Beaver County Stockyards at DVAuction.com both Tuesday and Wednesday. They are looking, they've done a lot of things to help the fire relief because it's right there in their neighborhood. Actually talked to Lane Conkle and said they were putting out a fire on some of Jeff Slatton's land there. And boy, you hate to hear this, but they're starting to see some people that are really starving for attention. They saw a melted gas can out near a fire that started on some of Jeff Slatton's land. And so now we've got some copycat guys coming out there for attention or something like that. Oh, I'd hate to see what would happen to them if a bunch of cowboys got caught up with those guys. There would be nothing that would be severe enough penalty if they caught some people out there trying to start a fire after they've been fighting here for weeks and weeks and weeks to try to get those fires out. And some of them are just having to burn themselves out. But oh my gosh, I would hate to see what kind of penalties they would have to pay if we had people there that had lost cattle and lost their property in a fire, and then they see somebody catching stuff on fire out there. It would not be pretty, people. But the Beaver County Stockyards has donated a ton of stuff for that fire to leave, been helping people. But they are looking to host a big fundraiser of some kind. They've got several ideas going, but they are going to be hosting a big fundraising event to be held in the near future. And so good luck to them as they start putting that together. The Packers jig is up. You guys know what the Packers jig is. Oh yeah, we don't have anything but hooks hanging in these big plants, but we don't need your cattle. We got all the cattle we need, really. If you're nice to us and ask nicely, we could schedule your cattle in, but it's going to have to be on some kind of a grade and yield deal. We're not going to offer you a cash price for those cattle unless it's a bunch cheaper. Yeah, we got all the cattle we need. No problem. No. Jig is up. They're out of cattle. Packers are out of cattle now. Our slaughter on Monday was estimated to be 111,000. Typically it's 130 to 135. And 116 there a week ago Monday was a really light day, and it was hard for them to catch up from that. Most all your major packers, or I think every major packing facility, has gone down to 32 hours now because they're out of cattle. Box beef cutout values have been up the last couple of weeks. They're holding their own on that. They just don't have anything to hang on the hooks, guys. And they've got their regular supplies formula cattle that they know are coming. They're just kind of spreading those out. And at this kind of pace, are we only going to have about a 550,000 head week? Is that enough to keep their customers' needs filled, the wholesale buyers, the end users? Is that enough? I don't know. Well, you know, what's going to happen here as we go through these extremely tight supplies. They had to pay more for fat cattle last week. Probably going to have to pay at least steady money or higher money this week coming too. And now you're starting to hear some rumors about, maybe a big four packer's going to close a plant, or maybe a couple of them are going to close a plant. You think, how in the world are they going to close a plant? They haven't been in hardly any red ink this year, and they're already thinking about closing a plant. You hear about cattle producers, cattle feeders losing money year in, year out, and probably 8 out of 10 years of production. You think, well, they don't talk about just selling out and being done. But these big packing plants, they have CEOs and they have boards that they have to please. And the only thing those boards really care about is profit. So, that doesn't hurt their feelings to close those plants down. It doesn't bother them that they've been, slaughtering your cattle for a long period of time, and you've built up a relationship. Or even the folks that work in the plant, they don't care anything about them either. But your cattleman, your cattle feeder, your cattle producer, his board, not on your big corporate plants, but on your independents, his board is usually at the dinner table with him. He's got his family there, his wife, his kids, his grandkids, and it's hard to look them in the eye and say, well, we're just giving up. You don't do that. You keep fighting it, and you keep trying to get back, and then you hope you have good years to overshadow the bad years. But these packers, like I said, all they care about is just a profit. And if the profit's not there, I've always thought that packers would never run in red ink. Why would they keep slaughtering cattle if they're losing money? And I still believe that. But apparently it's getting close enough now where they're really pulling back, guys, and they may have to give up some of their market share, whichever ones bail out. We've got some new packing plants that are coming online here before long. Got one in North Platte, Nebraska, and I tell you what, they're coming right along on that plant. And it'll be interesting to see how many are left whenever the smoke clears from these tight supplies. And these tight supplies are not going to get better anytime soon. They're going to get worse before they get better. We haven't been keeping any heifers back, guys. We still haven't been keeping any heifers back. We've got to keep heifers back to build this cow herd back up. And like I said, it's going to get the numbers are going to get tighter before they get better. So we're just going to have to see how we get through here. But let's talk about DVAuction's production sale report. You guys know we broadcast about 100 commercial sale barns every week, and they have at least one sale a week. Some of them have 2 or 3 or 4 sales a week. But our bread and butter is doing these production sales, these breeding stock sales, these bull sales, which we are in full gear on bull sale season right now. But it started in February, and we had a big February. I want to give you our DVAuction production sale report for February. We had 40,100 online bids on our online platform there for just our production sales, not counting our commercial sales, of course. We had over 7,050 lots sold on there, and purchases added up to more than $39 million, guys. If you're having a production sale and you're not having DV come in to take the online bids for it, you're really missing out. Nobody's got as big a buyer base as we do. But we're hooking up a new commercial cattle auction here. Going to be their first day to broadcast with us on Tuesday. Here is Kingsville Livestock Auction. I've been good friends with those folks for a long time. It's the Anstein family. Rick Anstein, Jeremy Anstein, Jared Anstein, Marcia Anstein, the mother. I don't know the boys' wife's name offhand, but I've sure seen them around and seen that family grow up. I used to be in and out of that sale on a regular basis all the time. And glad that they are adding DVAuction broadcasting to Kingsville Livestock Auction. They've got a really premier dispersal coming up here later on this month, and then going into the first couple of weeks of April. They have gotten the dispersal for the Circle A livestock, the females out of Circle A Ranch there, which has been pretty historic there in central Missouri, guys. and they're going to be, I'm going to be telling you more about the Circle A dispersal, but it's going to be Friday specials, and they're going to have 3 of them. And they've got some Wangus cattle in there, and really premium quality. So be thinking about that if you know somebody that's looking for some genetics like that, because they're going to have them there at Kingsville Livestock Auction. But their regular sale going to have a lighter run for them, about 2,500 here on Tuesday. But you can view and bid that sale on DVAuction.com for the first time here today on Tuesday. Let's talk about your board. April live cattle were unchanged at 187.60. That's a premium to last week's weighted average, which was just a little over 185. And then that's the April contract, so we've got a little bit of time to go, but sitting up there at 187.60, and most of your cattle futures were lower on Monday, so evidently it seems pretty happy up there sitting at unchanged at 187.60. The thing that surprises me is you go into our summer contracts, June and August are sitting at 183 and 182 respectively. And we're not going to be running into more cattle guys. I think those are undervalued, and I know that the board is always lower in the summer months, and usually the fat cattle market is, but I don't know where the fat cattle are going to come from. And if they keep backing off these kills, when people pull out those grills, they're going to want beef, guys, and we're going to pay horrendous prices for it. You know that. I think most of us have been guilty about going to a fancy steakhouse and overpaying for a really good steak. Most of us think that we can cook that steak as well as that steakhouse, and we'll overpay for one to throw on the grill ourselves. But you guys know what I'm talking about, those overpriced steakhouses where you give $70 or $80 or more for the steak and then want to pay another 15 or 20 for the baked potato to go with it. We're not proud of that, but we do it, especially when somebody else is picking up the tab. But your live cattle futures, your back months after June were mixed, from down 27 to up 17, which was really nothing. Feeder cattle contracts were lower. March feeder cattle down 95 cents at 248 and a quarter. That's almost exactly what your latest CME cash feeder cattle index is. And that's a March contract, but we're just at the beginning of March. What's it just going to do? Sit right with it? But I think our cash market's still got a lot of fire in them, so I wouldn't think that that March feeder cattle future is going to back up much. April feeder cattle down $1 at 253.10. Now you see them get higher because we know they're going to be pricing some of those grass cattle that's coming off there midsummer, so those will be the highest cattle and the best performing cattle that we see all year. Your back months on feeder cattle were down as much as $1.37 and up as much as 37 cents, and that's on your farthest out traded months. March corn up 2 cents at 428 and a quarter. March beans down 5.5 at 11.65. May Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 10 cents a bushel at 598 and 3/4. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5 area feeding region totaled 61,000 compared to 62,400 the previous week and 64,100 the same week a year ago. Live sales of fat steers and heifers in their 5 area range from 178 to 187. You think 178? I don't remember that. There was 115 head that sold at 178 in there. They got reported, and then nothing all the way up to 182. So it was mostly 182 to 187, but your weighted average was 185.12. That's not too bad. That's gaining some ground there. Your southern plains were $2 higher at 185, with a few up to 186. You remember on Thursday where they were selling cattle at 186, and then Friday they sold more at 185, but it was mostly the 185. Dress sales $2.90 to $3. You think $3? I didn't get the $3. Where was that at? We did have a regional that paid $3, and that was on a negotiated basis, guys. And the regionals are hanging tight in there. They're still slaughtering cattle, and they're paying $300 for dressed carcasses, for dressed cattle there. And you look, and they're having a hard time keeping the box beef cutout values over $300. So they're selling some premium quality product at a premium price there. But that was $2 to $5 higher than last week. And your weighted average steer dressed weighted average was $293.39. Northern Plains sold live sales $1.5 to $2 higher from $185 to $186. Dress sales $2 higher from $292 to $294, and instances as much as $10 higher at $300, like we just said. Nationwide negotiated sales 76,400 compared to 71,700 the previous week, and almost 80,000 the same week a year ago. Of that 76,400 negotiated sales nationwide, about 32% of those were for the 15 to 30 day delivery. Negotiated grid sales, they continue to grow a little bit more all the time, but there's no negotiation. It's just all grid. 34,600. Forward contracts for 66,200. That doesn't really go along with the way the board is, with the board being down for our close term out front there. But formula sales 264,200. Of your 4 out of the 5 area feeding regions that we get information from, last week Iowa sold 26,100 negotiated, Nebraska sold 17,300, Kansas 12,600, and Texas 5,000 head. Box beef cutout values were higher again on Monday. Choice cuts at 308.88, up 184. Selects up 145 at 298.88. Those box beef cutouts are going up just enough to offset the higher cattle, and your packers are still killing or really backing off the slaughter and slowing down the chains. It's because they don't have any cattle, guys, and they've still got to buy negotiated cattle, and they're not buying enough of them, and they're getting fewer cattle of all kinds because there's just not that many cattle available out there. Like I said, your slaughter only 111,000 for Monday. I don't even remember a non-holiday being that light, guys, where we didn't have breakdowns and things like that. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through the middle 12 states. Ended the day on Monday at 249.44. That was up 11 cents. Weighted out, or your last CME cash feeder cattle index that was available was 248.24. Your big sales on Monday, Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City had 6,750 head. Feeder steers were mostly steady with instances of $5 higher, especially on your big steers weighing over 9. Feeder heifers $3 to $8 higher. Steer calves steady to 3 higher. Heifer calves $2 to $5 higher. Joplin Regional Stockyards had 8,000 head. Market was steady to $5 higher for all classes and kinds. Joplin was your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. This is the market in the lower Midwest, guys. You look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central in your best tested weights, which included nearly all of the weight groups. 586 head of 4-weight steers averaged 453 at 318.45. 862 head of 5-weight steers averaged 548 at 301.24. 967 head of 6-weight steers averaged 647 at 281.10, and 896 head of 7-weight steers in Joplin averaged 736 at 259.41, and another 584 head of 8-weight steers averaged 841 at 236.18. Now look at the heifers. 589 head of 4-weight heifers averaged 452 at 286.69. 1,017 head of 5-weight heifers averaged 553 pounds with a weighted average price of $267.93. There were 795 head of 6-weight heifers averaging 655 at 247.81, and 635 head of 7-weight heifers had a weighted average weight of 741, weighted average price $232.61. Couple of individual quotes. Sugar Valley Stockyards in Gearing, Nebraska, they sell 101 steers weighed 482 at 381. Thought that was pretty impressive. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, and your Macrocin no BS top quote for the day, was at West Point Livestock Auction in West Point, Nebraska. They had 3 loads of steers, averaged over 850 pounds, and bring 249.50. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.